revolution begins. I'm expecting a fight, hoping for a war. We are the Bullet Club. I am the greatest living professional wrestler alive. One by one, they will all follow me. Bada boom, realest guys in a room. How you know? Feed me more.
But that mat right there.
If I win the WWE Championship at Survivor Series, I'm going to turn this whole place upside down. We're throwing all the rules out the window. Ain't going to be no more suits. Ain't going to be no more time. More action. Less talking. I want more pyro. I want breakfast for dinner. We're going to replace Michael Cole with a fish tank. We're throwing all the rules out the window this Sunday at Survivor Series.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leeser.
Hello and welcome to Wrestle to the Max episode 170.
Wow. That music is very patriotic, if you ask me, Sean. That very patriotic and old school kind of way, I guess, now, huh?
Yeah, a different kind of patriotic, but yes.
Yeah. Well, for wrestling fans who love French wrestlers or French wrestling in general, they get the chance to hear a lot of Resistance music coming into the show this week. And
never thought I'd hear that again.
I know. But yeah, honestly, it's a tribute. Sadly, this past week, almost a week ago now, we had the sad incidents that happened over in Paris, all the terrorist attacks, and in all seriousness, I know it's almost a week old, but we want to give our condolences to the ones who lost their lives, and of course the people of France. And it's just a worldwide effect that this whole thing has caused. And so, we want to just make sure everybody knows that, we also want to make sure we send our condolences and prayers and wishes and thoughts and all that towards them. And we have people that do listen all around the world. Sean has kind of pointed out different parts of the world and like, wow, I can't believe that people listen from over there. And I'm sure we have some people from the France and of course in the UK. So, we always want to make sure that we give credit where credit's due. And so, but there's a lot of interesting things, with the world the way it is right now. And I don't want to start the show off bad, so we're not going to start the show off bad. But this whole thing has brought some thoughts to my mind when it comes to safety, security at big events. Well, guess what? We are all three going to be attending WrestleMania 32. It's going to be a huge event. It's going to be at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. AT&T Stadium is what it's actually called. And it's going to be really fun. It's going to be a blast. There's going to be tons of people there. They're expecting 100,000 people to be packing that stadium. It's going to be giant. Well, that's a perfect target if you're going to try to hurt a lot of people, right? And so there's been thoughts and questions about that event along with some other big events in different parts of the country. I just got to ask the question, and it's kind of weird, but Paul, being that you've been to WrestleManias before, and now that this kind of stuff is going on, do you have any reservations at all? Does it even cross your mind when you're thinking about WrestleMania 32?
Honest to God, I hadn't thought about it until you brought it up, Gary, so thanks for that.
Paranoia just entered into your head.
But no, I never have. I just, it's a terrible thing what's happening in the world. But I'm a big fan of not letting fear try to, don't let fear control what you're going to do or what you should do or anything like that. So,
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, and I think that's the way, honestly, we should look at it because, there's no reason to be looking over our shoulder. I'm a firm believer, and I am religious, but I'm also a firm believer in that, hey, you're going to go when you're going to go. You can't handle that, can't control that. That's not really up to you. If it was, there'd be more people still alive, and they'd be 150. So, but Sean, I mean, you've experienced through the news and different things. You've seen all the things going on in the world, but you're also going to be going to WrestleMania 32, and you're also going to be on a plane. Or are you driving? Are you going to fly, or are you going to drive to Dallas?
No, I'm flying here, flying there, but
and that's another thing, though. Think about it. I mean, we've seen a Russian airliner taken down. I mean, things like that. I mean, does that ever make you kind of think about it? I mean.
No, I mean, I've watched probably more CNN in the last week than I have in years, probably, because I usually just don't watch the news because it's depressing and it kind of gets me, if I watched it all the time, I would have different feelings about the world, and then, just watching it this week, I'm just kind of like, man, it makes you think all these crazy things, and you have to be like, hey, look, I don't think it's this, huge thing that everybody's kind of making it out to be, There's other things that are making everybody go crazy right now, and it's silly sometimes. But it does make you feel or think about how little or how like insignificant sometimes like the little things that we care about are, as opposed to the the other things in this world. And when we think about that going to like WrestleMania 32, I mean, it's I do have to think about it because I'm sure that will be on someone's radar. But I don't think about like that happening, So I'm sure that there will be plenty of security and all that stuff. But just like watching them be able to find out that they knew that there was a bomb on that ambulance for that one soccer game and they would be able to stop it. That gives me hope that not all is lost. Every time there's some big event, something crazy is going to happen,
Exactly. And I go back to what Paul was saying. You can't live your life in fear. And that's not the reason I brought this up. But, it really, honestly, is just something to kind of point out, be kind of interesting because of what has happened recently, especially with the soccer stadium in France being targeted. So I think everybody's going to go to WrestleMania 32, and I hope everybody listening that if you're going to the event or someone, it's going to be fun. I think that, at least, in this part of the world, in North Texas, we took care of ISIS without any consequences of any other life but the people that were in ISIS. In fact, it happened to me in Paul's backyard here. Police, got two guys trying to shoot everybody up. They just killed them.
Straight up shot them in the head, dude.
It was one traffic cop, so trust me, you don't just mess with Texas, ISIS. You don't mess with
it's just the different. That's why you have to wonder everybody talks about gun control, but you have to wonder what would have happened if France did have them. So.
Yeah, but we're not going to get political and all that. That'll be another podcast. So, but I mean, this is really interesting, and we'll be thinking about that, guys. But we've got a lot of great stuff to talk about on this show. A lot of cool stuff that is not political or sad or anything. It's just going to be a fun show. I cannot wait to get into all the topics that we have today. We're of course going to jump into some quick hits, some big things. ROH and TNA are moving to different networks. You're going to want to hear about that, of course. ROH is going to stay in the Sinclair family, but they got a certain Sinclair channel they're going to go to. So you're going to hear about that. Plus, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame has announced who they are going to induct this year. So you want to hear that. A lot of more good news and stuff that you're really going to be interested in when we do quick hits. Plus, we're covering Monday Night Raw. We're going to do a Survivor Series preview this week, which I am stoked about because I'm really curious what these guys have to say and what their predictions are going to be. We're going to cover NXT, ROH, and TNA, of course, like always. And we're going to crown a Superstar of the Week. So tons of stuff to get into, guys. I'm really excited about it, and I hope you are too. So why don't we go ahead and get down to it. Let's go ahead and jump into some quick hits. And just to let everybody know, Quick Hits is sponsored by a certain game that is Math Tumble, and it is a fun game. You want to go check it out. Go check out the developers, Luby Loo. They have a lot of other fun games for you to go check out. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get some quick hits.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and get this thing going with what we were talking about, and that is Ring of Honor and TNA. Both of them are going to be moving to different parts of the television. So we want to tell you where they're going to be and also when they're going to go. So let's start with Ring of Honor. In December 2nd, they're going to move to Comet TV. Now, that is also a part of the Sinclair family, so don't think it's all the way out of the whack. It is still part of their group. And also TNA on January 5th will be moving to Pop TV, which is a TV guide channel. So that one's really interesting to me. But really, honestly, guys, both these channels, I had to hear about them through the Wrestling Wire, Newswire, to know what they even were. Don't even know what channel they are. Sean gave me a channel that I should go check out, but I still don't know where to find them on my TV. Is this really good or bad? Because Ring of Honor, we knew it was going to be okay because they're part of Sinclair, but TNA, I guess they got a little bit of life still here with a new channel. What is your thoughts on this, though? Is this going to help either or?
For Ring of Honor, I think this is a win-win. Comet is a new channel being launched by Sinclair. I think it's been around for a week and a half at this point. They're trying to get national and all that good stuff with that one. So let's say Comet TV takes off. ROH is in a great position. Let's say Comet TV doesn't take off. They're still in a great position because they're going to have Sinclair still broadcasting them syndication-wise. So essentially, they've either... And they didn't lose anything, by losing Destination America. They weren't making any money off that, all this other stuff. I guess you could argue maybe they're losing a certain viewership. I don't think it's going to matter, especially if Comet takes off. It'll be fine. For TNA and Pop TV, which used to be the TV Guide channel, I don't even know... I know I don't get Comet because I already looked. I don't know if I get Pop around here, though.
You do.
Okay.
Yeah, you have Time Warner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says you do.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so I mean, I know that Pop TV reaches a much larger audience than Destination America does, so that's good for TNA. Apparently, in something I was reading, they also said that seeing as Pop TV is affiliated with CBS, they saw that as a big upgrade too. So I don't know how that figured in, but it did for TNA. So
with CBS, that should be the Viacom conglomerate. So
right.
I mean that
Spike TV again.
Yes, Spike TV, MTV. That's kind of interesting. Ah, okay. I mean, Sean. I mean, when you're looking at this, though, I mean, I know this affects you because you don't have one of these channels, correct? Or do you have both?
I have Pop TV. I don't have a Comet. Basically, the only way you can get Comet right now is basically if you have an antenna.
Mm-hmm.
If you go and if you put an antenna and you can get it with your antenna, then good on you. If you can't and you don't have it syndicated around your area, which you guys do, I don't. I'm just gonna have to hope it shows up on Thursday before we do the podcast. If not, then I just don't want to. I can't afford to pay $8 for something else right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, or I would get their ringside thing again, but I can't afford it. Now Pop TV, I do. And for me, at least, now this is what's so weird with Pop TV is that it's different for everybody. Some people, it's an HD feed, and it's like any other channel. Some people, it's an SD feed. Some people, like me, for Comcast, for some reason, it's not only an SD feed, it has a black and white TV guide under it that runs the entire time. So that's really annoying to watch a wrestling show for 2 hours with a TV guide that runs under it telling you stuff all the time, but it's just distracting. It's like when you try to watch something with subtitles and you know the language, you catch yourself reading the words anyway. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, like what Paul said is pretty much how it rolls. There are small rumors going around that CBS may invest in TNA if it does well on Pop TV. The good thing for TNA with Pop TV is that most of the time with Pop TV, you have to pay to be on their channel for like the 2 hours you're on or whatever. With this, it's actually more like a regular TV deal, and they don't have to pay. So that's good. They don't have to go get their own advertising and try to make money back. That's good on that part. I just think that if there's more. If there are more people that have the channel like I do, you're gonna see that as worse than Destination America because you're seeing that as really low rent. Like to me, if I'm looking at a channel that has a TV guide that's running under it and TNA is running in non-HD, I'm kind of like, well, this looks really lowball. You know, like I don't know if I want to watch it. I mean, because there are people that are like that. Like if it's not to their specification, I mean, and let's be honest, TNA doesn't really have casual fans. So, you know, I don't know how the people that watch TNA are always going to watch TNA, and that doesn't change. So, you know, this is good. If they can get more eyes, then great. I just feel like with ROH, you know, what Paul said too, it kind of makes sense. I just hate the fact that they're kind of back to the whole, okay, well, this is our channel, let's see what happens. And I totally get it from their perspective. They're making all the money, except for whatever they have to give MGM. If it does take off, and if not, then it's whatever. They keep on going from there.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and I do like that you pointed out the TV guide thing, because I'm one of those people. I think if I was casually flipping through the channels and I came across TNA, it would probably get on my nerves having the TV guide right there. I know a lot of people can ignore it, but for me, it'd be like, oh, geez, I wish that wasn't on my screen. And so I could see that could be a hindrance, but, you know, we'll have to see. I mean, I think it could possibly get people to, you know, come over there and see what, you know, maybe if they use that TV guide and they do just kind of catch a few things out of the show, maybe they start enjoying it and maybe want to watch it on a more regular basis. I don't know.
The only thing I would add is that, you know, MVP had a tweet out that said, and I have a feeling they don't get as much money as they did with either of the previous deals. That he posted a tweet saying, Spike TV, whole lot of money, Destination America, little less money, and Pop TV, like, barely nothing. So, you know, it's just...
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, and I can understand that, too. I mean, this matters a lot to these guys. I mean, this is their career, this is their livelihood, and I think that they are excited about at least being a big part of an organization like TNA, but on the other hand, they also have to think about the monetary sense of it, and I think if they're wanting to reach that next level, they're not looking to go to TNA probably because of that, you know. So hopefully TNA does better. I mean, I really want to see them do better. I would love for them to do great and maybe CBS pick them up and put them on a more prevalent channel. I hope that happens, honestly, but we'll have to see. Both these you know, groups are going to have to really work hard, and Ring of Honor's, you know, kind of got the upper hand here only because they're owned by the station that they're on. So we'll have to see. You know, let's talk about, you know, we're talking about TV and TV channels. Let's talk about ESPN now. We've all known for a little while now that ESPN has a major part of WWE stuff because of the fact they've kind of had a little partnership going on here, and they're, you know, breaking news like Seth Rollins having his knee injury, and you know, everything else when it comes to, you know, basically kind of providing information about WWE, and of course, you know, in a way pimping out SummerSlam and things like that to all the people that are watching ESPN. So win-win, I think, for both the organizations, but there has been, you know, questions of what were they going to have on the channel for fans, and it is brought to our attention that, you know, they are not just going to have storylines on ESPN. They're actually going to break real news. They're actually going to do some things that are not just about what's actually, you know, on the Raw or SmackDown. It's actually going to break down what's really going on with the WWE. So I think this is good. Did you expect ESPN to do this? Did you expect them to kind of follow, you know, the storylines, or did you think that this was going to happen? Because for me personally, I thought they were going to do this in the first place. I don't know why this is big news, but I thought they were actually going to call, hey, you know, Tyler Breeze, you know, hurt his elbow, he may be out of action. I thought they were going to say stuff like that anyway. I don't know about you guys.
I thought it was going to be much more equivalent to how they cover MMA, which is barely. They'll mention a big event, they'll mention the main event, and that's it. This has been so much more, I think, than I was expecting. Breaking news via ESPN is really cool, but then just, you know, breaking news all around as far as outside the TV is just something very, very different because now you have a major channel as your news outbreaker instead of your website and TMZ and Lord knows what else. So I mean, I like almost an air of credibility, I think is what I'm trying to get to here. Like it's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
A sport or a sport, quote unquote, that is totally fake is getting more coverage than a realistic one. You know, it's a little mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is a little mind-boggling. That's what kind of gets me is that, you know, it's so much blurring that line of, you know, how much are they covering this, you know, scripted sport, and does it get under the fans' skin? I mean, there's already this stigma against ESPN for what it is, and again, I don't blame them for trying to get new fans wherever they can. And if they want to cover WWE like this and they feel like that's really going to help them, then I think as long as they don't start having like their own post shows for WWE and stuff like that, I also, as a sports fan, there's certain parts of me that go, okay, well, you don't want to go too far in another direction, you know, because then why aren't you covering like TV shows and stuff like that at that point?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, that is true, you know, but I think that they, you know, really do enjoy having this partnership because of the fact that WWE is a large organization. They're a money-making organization, and not only that, there's a lot of eyes on that, so they can get eyes on ESPN because the people will be actually maybe watching more SportsCenter because they do watch WWE programming. So I think it's good, and you know, I'm glad that they are using the you know, some of the news items from the WWE and putting them on the ESPN SportsCenter. That way we can kind of feel like, you know, hey, it is more geared towards, you know, the MMA side or something like that. I think it's good for both. So, but you know, we're talking about, you know, sports, and you know, of course, you know, one of the biggest breaking news, and of course, ESPN and everybody else in the world covered it. But Ronda Rousey getting KO'd by Holly Holm. And I don't know, maybe a lot of people did expect it, maybe a lot more people didn't. I think I would go more towards the side of maybe people still thought Ronda Rousey was going to be victorious, and that definitely was not the case. But, you know, that's not the news we're really breaking here. The news I want to kind of talk about here is Taz actually came out on his show and said that this may be a little bit of a work. He kind of thinks that Ronda Rousey took a dive, or she was in on it to lose her title, but that way that the title could go on while she was off doing her movies and other things. She'll be off for a year. I don't know. I have a hard time believing, especially with the success that she's had and the fact that that's a mark on her record, that she would do that. So it's a little far-fetched for me, but I mean, Paul, do you think that could be the case? Do you think that if there's any relevance to this, that maybe there is a little bit of a work in what's going on in the UFC?
No, Gary, I'm right there next to you. For this to be a work would be absolutely just a stupid idea for UFC. Very often they try to distance themselves from what WWE is. So this, if anything, even came close to breaking about this being a work, it's going to hurt its credibility. And the UFC is already struggling still to keep people buying those pay-per-views. So Ronda losing, and then, you know, I guess they were sort of lose-lose, because if Ronda wins and goes out for a year, you're losing a big revenue stream. But now she's lost and out for a year. It just doesn't seem like good business for UFC. So Ronda just got caught with that kick. That's what happened. Mm-hmm. She was out. Game over.
Rocked her world.
Yep. It is what it is. I mean, I err on the side of, you know, I've kind of always had this thing of who knows on that. If maybe they go out there and tell them, okay, well, you know, this person, we kind of want this person to win, but, you know, whatever happens, happens. But I just don't feel like they would do that because, like what Paul said, I mean, if anybody ever found out, like what happened with wrestling, right? As soon as people found out, like it became more prevalent in the 80s that it was, you know, worked, what happened? Like it helped make that whole thing, you know, crash. And it's going to happen to you. If that ever happened to UFC, like it will crash. And no one will ever believe in MMA again. I mean, boxing already has that problem anyway.
Yep.
I mean, you don't want MMA to have that problem, because then, it's gonna go down, and everybody that is in love with it is gonna feel the burn, in that way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I totally right there with you guys, and it's exciting in a way if you ask me. I know people are down on it because of one of the big, honestly, probably the biggest moneymaker and for UFC right now, Ronda Rousey losing. I could see where it's a bad thing, but I could also see where it's a good thing with Holly Holm. I think that that's a new star born. It could be somebody that they can watch, and she can get some of the credibility she deserves. So. And especially since Ronda's going to be gone for a year, hey, you've got your new star. Hopefully she can go in and be dominant and do what she's been doing. So we'll have to see. I mean, it could change. It could be a freak thing, because that's what sports are. So sports are fun because anything can happen, and and who knows, she may face against someone else in the near future. Even the Brazilian lady that Ronda faced not too long ago, she could face her and just get dominated. So it's what's fun about UFC, and I think we're all kind of erring on the side of it's not really a work. Let's be honest. But here's some other things we're going to get into, and one of those things I want to jump into is kind of on the sports part, but not exactly. We all know that some of these wrestlers do a little extracurricular activities. Some are comedians, some do other sports, and one of the guys that is a former WWE star, Billy Gunn, was doing weightlifting competitions, and he decided to take PEDs. That wasn't good. He got suspended from competing. But WB got word of that, of course. They didn't like that because he's training guys that are not allowed to do PEDs. And so they released him. Now,
I also didn't know anything about him doing the weightlifting thing either.
So that could be a problem too. You never know. But anyway, so I mean, this is interesting. I mean, he's a coach. He's not having to get tested for these, so I think he probably felt like he could get away with it. But in the long run, was not a good example to set for those NXT kids. So, what do you think, Paul? I mean, how do you feel about this? Do you think they were kind of unfairly kicking him out, or do you think it was fair?
I very much think this is an example to be made. You do PEDs, and we catch you, even if you're maybe not tested all the time. You're going to get canned. Don't do PEDs. Like, this is the best don't do drugs commercial that WWE could have for NXT. Don't do drugs, kids. They're bad.
Paul pretty much said it. Like, you have to make an example of when this happens. Because if you let Billy Gunn slide, well, you got to let everybody else slide. Not to mention, just... to any of the other trainers, you think about doing something extra outside of here, and you do something that you're not supposed to do that, well, guess what's going to happen to you?
Exactly. And I know they're coaches, but I'm surprised they weren't getting tested before. I think everyone should have to be tested. I really, really do, especially when you're involved in the ring, when you're working with these students, one-on-one. I get it. If you're the guy in a suit and you only go sit around and watch things and you're not actually, getting in the ring, you're not actually coaching them physically, I could say, okay, do what you're going to do. But I really feel like everybody else who's wearing gym shorts in that room, at least where the rings are, wherever else in the weight room, they need to get tested. So that's just my personal opinion about it. But that's kind of sad. I'm a Billy Gunn guy. I've always enjoyed him. Of course, I'm a DX fan, so I think that's part of it. But we'll see. Sean, you actually said that there's rumors that he'll just come back in 6 months and just say I'm sorry. So I hope that happens. We'll see. One last thing before we jump into some rapid hits, guys. Nick Bockwinkel passed away, and this is sad. I mean, I'm glad he made it into his 80s. That is great. But man, it's just another sad story because, we lost a legend. What did you think about him? Sean, how much did you actually watch of Nick Bockwinkel, and what does this mean to you?
Other than, stuff in DVDs and whatever, I mean, he was before, like, my time watching wrestling. Before, really I was alive. I try to go back and watch a bunch of stuff, but he was mainly AWA, which, other than, and that's not even when, he wasn't even around when, ESPN had AWA, so, to me, I wouldn't have been able to watch this stuff other than finding things on YouTube here and there. So, he was one of the guys that he was very well spoken. He could cut promos. He was a very good wrestler. He was Vern Gagne's favorite guy. Anytime that Vern Gagne needed somebody to have the belt, it was Nick Bockwinkel. He was basically the guy in AWA besides Vern Gagne. So he was definitely a legend and deserved all the plaudits and everything. Just kind of makes me feel bad that WWE didn't really say much about him at all on Raw or anything.
I mean, what do they do, Paul? They just gave him a picture, I think.
I believe so.
Wow, shocked. I don't know if you've ever watched him. I really haven't watched a lot of him either. Paul, did you get to follow him a little bit here or there?
I've seen some stuff. It's kind of like, if you're getting into the AWA at all, you kind of have to see some of Nick Bockwinkel stuff. As Sean said, he's one of their... him and the Crusher and Baron Von Raschke and a lot of these other guys that you hear a lot about but maybe never seen. These are guys who made it big in AWA during the territory days. And he's certainly a big part of that success. The belt that he wore is the belt that they use in Pro Wrestling 01 right now. So, he very, very, he's the sort of, consummate professional wrestler for the time. Great promo, amazing technical ability, knew how to put a match together, all these other things, recognized worldwide for his ability. So it's a devastating loss for the wrestling community, but man, that guy could work.
Oh yeah, definitely. And if you've seen any of his work, you can tell that for sure. And this brings up the fact that we do lose a legend, but there are certain guys and legends that are in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and they just released this year's guys to be inducted. And I'll just name off the 9 that we have here that are really prevalent. There's more on this list, but let's be honest, there are people that none of us know really. Sergeant Slaughter, Stone Cold Steve Austin. You got Greg the Hammer Valentine. You got High Chief Manavia. We also have Hans Schmidt. We have Lalani Kai. We have Black Jacks, and of course Mean Gene Okerlund. So those are the names that we have that I think a lot of people know. Just real quick, Paul, what are your thoughts? Do you think anybody on this list doesn't deserve it? Well, just give me your thoughts on what you think about this list.
Slaughter, Austin, Valentine, the Black Jacks, I think sort of go in without saying. Gene Okerlund too. Just one of those guys that you think about. You go back and watch WWE in the 80s, you can't not see his face. You go back and watch WCW during the 90s, you can't not see his face associated with that product. Leilani Kai, one of the best women's wrestlers of all time. Pretty great list. And then there's the couple guys from the way back to the 20s on here too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a pioneers section. I'm just kind of well, whatever, Not even going to pretend on that one.
Yeah. Earl McCready is one of them who apparently legitimately was in the Olympics and placed 6th in the 20s. So, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. And Peter Maivia, I think a lot of people probably didn't get to see him do stuff. But for his time, he was one of the guys, in the early WWF that Vince counted on a lot. So. Yeah. And everybody else on that, like Paul said, everybody else that's on that list there for this year, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So, why don't we get into it, guys? We have some rapid hits going, so I'm going to throw out a couple things towards you guys, just quickly answer them, and we will move on to the next thing. Let's start with Austin Aries and Gunner. We're at an NXT event. Thoughts?
Mother of God, no Gunner, please.
My computer is freaking out, and it's using Chrome, so I'm freaking out myself right now. Okay, it worked again. But, anyway, Austin Aries is great. So if he really does show up or appears in TNA, I think that's a total plus for the company. Gunner, they would really have to do something with him in order for him to be, I think. But you know what? What's so weird is I didn't know if they would really care about James Storm when they've taken to him. So who knows? Maybe Gunner shows up and he's still called Gunner, and people are kind of like, yeah, Gunner.
Shoot me now.
Now.
Not literally. Let's move on to something else. Let's talk about the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame and move to Wichita Falls, Texas. Thoughts?
That's kind of cool. I mean, I have no idea what the heck would be in there, but I might kind of want to go now.
If you're a student at UTA, you can actually, hold some of those artifacts in your hands because it's going to be part of your project. So just let everybody know that.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently they're letting them do it as community service too. So I guess if we get in trouble, you can also do something with it. I don't know, but that's cool. I'd want to go now just to see what they have there and stuff.
Well, guys, WB had to release a statement that Charlotte doing that promo and the things discussed, which, let's be honest, Reed being in that promo, was discussed, and she's cool with it, just to let you guys know. They wanted to let you know. Why did they let you know? I don't know.
Because people started complaining about it constantly.
Yeah. A lot of people are butthurt.
Oh, come on. I know I have shied away from using Reed's name on this show just because, but yeah, it's silly. But, it is what it is.
I forgot to tell Gary to put in here. For only being on sale for 1 week during the month of October, WWE 2K16 was 5th on the MPD list of best-selling video games for October. So
wow.
That's pretty big for only being there for a week.
It's pretty awesome. So I'm sure WWE's pretty thrilled about that one. But WWE's probably thrilled about something else they did, maybe, possibly. They signed Sombra from CMLL. What do you think?
Sombra is an amazing luchador, very talented, one of CMLL's top guys, somebody who I hope spends an extended period of time in NXT just to sort of help him learn the system so we don't have another Mystico repeat.
Now it makes sense why he lost his mask. This will be good. Hopefully they can finally get something going with him where he can be that star that WWE wants. I appreciate WWE really giving Kalisto a shot with the tournament and everything, but I kind of feel like they're looking for that guy, and I think La Sombra can be somebody that you can do a legit storyline with Del Rio if you want to, and you want to bring him in. I'm like Paul though. You need to give him time to kind of get adjusted to be with NXT. If he's not good with the language, to learn that and everything. And it's gonna suck that now we kind of know why he wasn't part of the tag league either, because that was the big rumor he was gonna show up with Naito to be part of the tag league. So it kind of sucks we won't see him, but maybe he'll be lighting it up on NXT and it'll be good.
TNA lost Brooke Tessmacher. Is she gonna be heading over to WWE?
I really hope so. She's a really, really talented lady. Somebody who was in WWE, went out and proved that she can work somewhere else. So WWE snatch her up fast.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, we'll see her there, but wouldn't be surprised either if we don't. And supposedly they're loosening the reins on the whole. They're just kind of trying to get anybody at this point that I think that has a name was the last rumor that was going around, because they're trying to restock the thing for the brand to go tour and stuff. So we'll have to see if that's true or not.
Germany is going to get the WWE network just in time for the Royal Rumble, which is actually sold out.
Yay for Germany.
And yay for WWE on the Royal Rumble. It's in Orlando, so I expected that thing to sell out. Sucks now I can't go if I wanted to, but oh well.
Melissa Joan Hart decided to get on some Twitter and say that Mr. Kevin Owens is lazy. Hashtag Melissa explains Raw.
That's like the best hashtag I've ever heard in my life. An interesting scenario, and that inevitably turned into a flame war on the internet's part, which wasn't cool because they started calling out our kids and stuff. That's just, you don't do that.
Oh, the vulgarity of the internet never fails to amaze me. Just people are stupid.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
You know, I give Kevin Owens all kind of credit for just deciding at the end of the day just to block her like he does almost everybody that's negative about him and calls it a day. You know?
Yeah. I was just very disappointed. I was very excited and very disappointed at the same time. I did not know she was a wrestling fan. Thrilled about that because I was a big fan of the Clarissa Explains It All.
The best tweet, though, has to go to Big E, who has someone tweet him, "Please don't dance in Atlanta, Georgia. It will scare my 7-year-old." And he says, "I want to know the column, row, and seat in which you are in so I can stare him down while I do my dance."
Big E is the best.
Oh, man. Those gyrations are not PG. Oh, man. You threw me off completely with that, Sean. One last thing we got up there. I'm just picturing in my head, and it's awful. One last thing that we'll jump into before we move on to something else, and that is the fact that Melina says that Morrison, that's right, Johnny Morrison takes Cialis.
She has a picture of his prescription for Cialis.
That's, yeah.
Picture it, Paul. Picture it.
No, I'm all right.
You just got to think about that. I mean, these commercials could be solid for this guy. I mean, think about that. Just having him with his hair blowing.
Really cool. Like he shows up and does Cialis commercial.
Oh, I love it, man. That'd be so great. It'd be the perfect spokesman.
Yeah, and then Melina could show up and be like, "Yeah, I'm totally cool with having my guy be on Cialis." Like,
yeah.
You know,
oh dear.
Oh man. So we had ended on in a low note, I guess you'd say in a way. But anyway, there you go, people. That is Quick Hits. A lot of fun. A lot of interesting news this week. You know, a ton to talk about. But needless to say, we've got other stuff to do. So don't want anybody to forget we are going to be covering the Survivor Series preview. That'll be later in this show. But before we do that, we want to talk about Monday Night Raw and all that it entails. So we'll be right back with that.
WWE Monday Night Raw.
all right. If we didn't lose people after that terrible joke, but
It's real. It's news. It's not a joke. It was news.
yeah,
Just as honest.
it's true. It's true, but you know. Some people get really offended when you talk about this. I don't know. Anyway, you know, Raw was live from Greenville, South Carolina. You know, as we were joking about it, it's certainly Flair country. And, you know, I guess that's where they got the whole deal to do the main event of the show with that. But, you know, we'll discuss that when we get to it. However, this opening segment with The Undertaker and Kane and Druids attacking them and the Wyatts, I don't know, but that was a whole lot of whatever for me. I didn't get anything out of that at all. I mean, it's cool that they're doing the whole stuff with the lightning and the fire and the whatever, but I just felt like it was just there. How about you guys?
So we learned 2 weeks ago that Undertaker and Kane can take on the whole family by themselves, no problem, big deal. What do we need? What do we need Druids for again? I don't know.
I mean, like, well, the whole point is like, why are we even doing the 2-on-2 thing if we already proved that they might as well have just made it 4-on-2?
Yeah, I agree with that completely because of that. To me, it's just silly. It really, really is. And this went from being kind of a cool thought process, something cool, to something to me. I'm not even excited about it. Let's be honest. I just don't care. Bray Wyatt could pick anybody. Heck, he can pick himself and Dennis Rodman, and I still don't care.
People still caring about Dennis Rodman at this point?
You might want to, especially you don't know what he has now. So, but just saying, it's been a while. But I mean, I think that, to me personally, the Druids thing was really interesting in a way, but then at the same point, the way they just destroyed him, that was just pointless. I think they should have a little bit more difficult time with him to just slap him out of the way. I think it'd have been more fun to watch him get kind of taken back, like, oh, what's going on here? We can't handle this, and then just to fight back and succeed. I just think it would have been better. More of a fight means better for me.
I just feel like we're heading into we're trying to stretch us into a Royal Rumble match with Taker taking on Wyatt again, and maybe Kane and Braun Strowman. And this is why they picked. They had them pick the guys so that they don't have Wyatt. There's a reason why they're not having Wyatt get taken out right now. There's another match happening somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just what they did previously just already killed any thought for the feud. I mean, I guess they're going to take it as the casuals aren't going to remember, but, that's whatever.
Yeah.
So, we did have the 4 tournament matches to decide who would be the semifinalists and the final, so that they can decide who's going to be the finalist at the pay-per-view. So, are you going to miss the tournament now that it's pretty much over with, other than what's at the pay-per-view?
Kinda.
We liked how it's taken these Raws.
Like, I mean, it's been predictable, but the wrestling has been pretty good. And on a 3-hour Raw, that's something that helps get you through. Like, looking at match times here, Kevin Owens and Neville got almost 11 minutes. Ambrose and Dolph got 16, almost 17. Reigns and Cesaro got 20 minutes. And, I mean, Del Rio and Kalisto wasn't very good, but they still got 10 minutes. I mean, that's a good bit of wrestling on your TV show, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Paul. I mean, I'm enjoying it, and it's not just taking up time with just people blabbing on and on about whatever. This is actually something that means something. The matches are quality. You're having a good time watching them. You don't need a lot of the other stuff. And because, let's be honest, we've talked about TNA's tournament and the fact that not much storyline, what's there really to talk about, but it's just so funny the way that they have put this together and the way it's working out, that a lot of these matches do have some relevance. Some of these matches are former feuds, or just feuds that could build, or just honestly great matchups in general. So that's what makes this a little bit more interesting, if you ask me personally. I am going to kind of miss it because of those reasons, but on the other hand, I'm okay with it being done. It's been done for a little while now.
Yeah, I mean, I give them credit for trying to add in some mystery to some of these, and having the upset with Kalisto and everything, and all that, and that's cool. They've done some of the things you do in a tournament, but again, appreciate the wrestling. So it's always good to feel like there's a meaning to these wrestling matches happening. So that's what this tournament's been able to do. On the other hand, something that really hurt someone because he lost in the first match of the tournament, and then he's gone on to just have matches while Ziggler's still competing, and now, Ziggler lost, so that sets up their match for Survivor Series. But Tyler Breeze had a match with R-Truth, in which a lot of the time was spent with R-Truth wrestling and not Tyler Breeze on the advantage. It also includes Summer Rae putting lip balm on Tyler Breeze, and then JBL making the joke that now Tyler Breeze, no one should ever win if they're being put. Somebody's putting lip balm on you in the middle of a match. But does Tyler Breeze already feel like just the guy?
Yes. They wasted his first in-ring appearance on a tournament that he shouldn't have really been in, I feel. Granted, they're short on people, so... but then this just, like... I get what they're trying to do. This is how they did a squash matches sort of in NXT, but he's already established by the time you had guys beating him up, and then he'd come out of nowhere with the beauty shot or whatever, so...
You know what's funny is I listen to a ton of podcasts during the week while I'm at work, and I don't remember which one this was from, so I'm not going to say which one because I just don't know. But there was somebody who mailed in something to the lines of, I really appreciate the way they've handled Tyler Breeze because they got him in developmental. He did great. They started burying him and got him prepared to be buried on Raw. So, I mean... You gotta love it. I mean, really, honestly, and that sucks. To me, it sucks because
well, he's not buried. He won.
Yeah. Well, I know he won, but I'm just saying, he hasn't really been all that successful starting out. But you got to give him props.
No, I agree. They didn't set him off on the right foot with having him debut in the tournament. He's not going to win. Then who knows if he's actually going to beat Ziggler or not? He should. Or at least, there's going to be some kind of DQ or something stupid that's going to keep that thing going. And that's fine, but it's just a lot of these NXT guys are like treading water because they don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
It's a big problem, and it's just a shame. I think the fact that they had immediately tied Tyler Breeze to a former storyline, or a current one, I guess you'd say, but something that's going on, and they're trying to move past that storyline to another one. And I just wish he could have came on in fresh legs, didn't have to be tied to anybody. Just came in as Tyler Breeze, this new upcomer.
I think some array work.
No, they work. I just don't think it's. It's almost like, hey, I'm a part of this now, and then I'm going to try to break off. It just doesn't seem like a transition that's going to be successful for him. I wish he kind of had his own start. That way we could base it on his start, not really being tied to something else.
Mm-hmm. I kind of agree with that. Like, he does feel tacked on, but, I think overall him and Summer Rae work well together. So it's like a give and take situation here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's the thing, like, you have Neville, who's kind of just there, too, and, the New Day are great, but they are kind of just around, especially in the segment that they had him do with the Usos and Ryback. It just kind of felt like, you brought the Dudley Boys back to do what? Kill the Ascension 30 times on Raw? What are they doing? Like, it feels like they have a plan for when they show up, and then as soon as that doesn't do something, well, now they're off to the wayside again. It's just, I don't know. I know that you only have a certain amount of time and not everybody can be featured, but I'm lost sometimes, at all this. It's the same thing with, like, Del Rio feels like the blandest guy on the planet Earth.
Yes.
And he's getting paid all this money for what? Like, is he really going to be your Latino star when this stuff with Zeb Coulter is boring. It it's not going anywhere. What the hell is who's going to care about Mets America? Nobody.
It's definitely not We the People.
For sure.
It's not catching on, and you're right. They need to progress this further, and the tournament's kind of slowed that down a little bit. The fact that they don't have any really big feud yet for him to have, that's slowing this whole thing down. I love Zeb Coulter. Everybody knows that. I'm a big fan of his, but he's not pulling this out of Bland. And I honestly...
And that finisher was stupid.
Oh, God, I wish...
What was wrong with the cross arm breaker? What was wrong with it? Like, nothing. Well, why do we have to do this? Now you have to get the guy in the tree of woe every time, and you have to do the stupid... Like, it looks devastating. Okay, let's not... It does. But it's just... It doesn't work that great in matches. Like, it's not something that you just set up naturally. Like, the cross arm breaker he could pull out of anywhere. It's interesting. You know, it just, I don't know. Do you do you feel that way, Paul? I mean,
the only thing I think of,
I do, and you know.
Oh, well.
Is there, Sean?
I guess we lost Paul. I don't know.
no, I mean, I'm still here.
There you go.
You cut off in the middle of your whatever you're saying, Gary. That's why.
Okay, go ahead, Paul.
All I was going to say is the only reason he has the new finisher is I'm assuming he's trying to keep it somewhat fresh. Otherwise, it's completely boring, and it might have to be like he's been thrust into this situation so soon, and suddenly we had the Seth Rollins injury, because I'm sure that's shaken up a lot of stuff. But there's no excuse for how bland the gimmick is, though. That's just poor writing.
Yeah, it is, and I think that I'm okay with him doing what he's going to do, being heel, whatever. It's just so weird to me that he gets on WWE and it's just totally different than when he is on other, basically any other organization, any other place, especially like Lucha Underground.
If the crowd didn't care about him so much, he'd kind of be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Part of what helps in Lucha Underground is that the crowd is like so into him. He feeds off that, and it makes you feel like he's much different and better. You know?
Mm-hmm. It feels like he worked harder.
That too.
Yeah. You're right. It does feel like he worked harder. It's almost like sometimes I see him on Raw standing there, and I'm like, "Where's his purse?"
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest, because he's not doing a whole lot. He's just kind of just chilling, and then when he does do something, it's kind of like, oh, I'm here, I'm going through the motions, match is over, cool, go back to whatever. It's just there's no energy. They've got to find a way to get energy behind this guy, because kids and everybody else in the audience will yell and scream for him, heel or face, if they can get energy behind him. Right now, he just seems so lackluster, like he doesn't even care.
Right, yeah. I mean, yeah, when you watch him there with Zeb Coulter, he's just kind of standing there. And I don't know if he feels like... For one, like, he's not a terrible promo. He's okay. Like, I just feel like it's almost like they cut him off at the balls. Like, it's just like, okay, we have Zeb Coulter here for somebody who doesn't really need Zeb Coulter. And... maybe he feels like, okay, well, I kind of have no point here, so I'm just going to go wrestle my match. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
It's weird.
Yeah. I agree.
But, yeah, I mean, somebody that's certainly not bland, the New Day, they did have a gimmick previously that we really never got to see come to fruition because of certain things. Like, we'd always say it was supposed to be the new Nation of Domination, and I know Paul went on a thing about him really wanting to see that for a while. That Big E mentioned that it's been their 1-year anniversary since they've been in WWE together as the New Day. Would you still do you ever have a thought about what their original gimmick could have been?
I still think the New Nation idea would have worked out. However, what we got now, I don't know if I would trade for the New Nation anymore, to be honest. Like, the New Day is just awesome. It's the main reason why I'm watching WWE television right now. They're so entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, like, they are the one reason why I care at all about the tag scene, because the rest of the tag scene to me is kind of just meh. I don't know about how you guys feel, but, like, that whole thing that they had them do with Ryback and the Usos kind of just felt there. The New Day are great, and they have their... what was it that they did this week with the owl whatever thing? Like, I forgot already.
When they were talking about the Usos and the way they do their, you say Us, I say O. Yeah.
Like, that was great.
They're
pretty much making fun of them because they got hurt.
And think about it, okay? So you have the New Nation, or the Nation of Domination, whatever you want to call it, and that's fine. That's great. But you think of the roles put into place, you think of the fact that it's serious, you think that Xavier Woods is the ringleader, he's going to be serious, and he could do a good job. I could totally see him doing a great job doing that. But for me personally, there's a reason you don't trade New Day, because New Day is not only fun, it's comedic, it's a great way to get, heel heat, not just, just the same heel heat. They have different ways of getting heel heat with that gimmick, and I just think Xavier Woods gets to be Xavier Woods. He is goofy, he's nerdy. I think he's so comfortable in this role. He's solid. In fact, it's funny you bring that up, Sean, because I thought about that watching Raw this week. About, man, he could never act like that if he would have got stuck in that Nation gimmick. And now he's getting a chance just to act silly. He's getting to use a trombone.
Doing the dancing thing.
Yeah, even Kofi Kingston, which we like Kofi Kingston because he's good, but besides that, Kofi Kingston has not had a whole lot of personality shown, and in this, I mean, he's really going to get a chance to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, true. I mean, so how did you feel about the whole thing with Ryback being added in there with the Usos? And the Usos is fine as their feud, I think. But
is Ryback just getting thrown everywhere and anywhere? That's my question, and it looks like it to me.
I think so.
Take this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Ryback push is kind of off now, and I don't think the New Day has anybody else to feud with but the Usos. They didn't, like, the Dudleys thing fizzled because they decided not to do anything with that, essentially. So, I mean, this is all you got left.
Well, Chris Lemsky is on with us now, so how are you
Hey,
doing?
Chris.
Guys, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. How are you doing?
I've been doing pretty good. Just kind of waiting for Jessica Jones to start up here in 30 minutes, so I figured I'd give you guys a call and talk a little wrestling with you guys for like a couple minutes.
Definitely. It's kind of cool, Sean brought up something, we're talking Raw, and I think I would love to hear what you have to say about the Nation of Domination. We were thinking of, we'd be getting a new one when the New Day guys, but that didn't happen, but we'd have the New Day. What would you have thought if that would have happened? I mean, and which one would you prefer?
Like, do I wish that the New Day were a new Nation of Domination?
Well, what would you think? I mean, could you pick, now that you've seen what they do with the New Day, could you picture them doing that and being successful? And which one would you choose over the other?
If they were a new Nation Domination, while it would have been cool to see and hear the theme song again, it wouldn't have worked, because when you always do something new, like Midnight Express, it never really has a long success.
Right.
Brandon, you may need to turn on your audio. You're on your speaker.
Who's that?
Thank you. I'm sorry, I just noticed it when you came on. We got Brandon Bisco being with us, joining us too, so I just want to let everybody know. But no, Chris, I mean, when you're looking at this, though, I mean, I think what the New Day has going for themselves right now, do you think that is what you're saying is that the New Day is basically more successful?
I mean, yeah, right now they're more successful. I mean, let's be honest, they lucked into the success. Like, the night after WrestleMania, when people started doing those "New Day sucks" chants, and they just ran with it, that was the smartest idea they've had in years. To just, okay, people don't like these guys. Let's do it. Let's take a negative and turn it into a positive. So what they've done with the New Day since Mania has been on fire, and they should continue with that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's certain crowds that don't react to everything they do, and that's fine. You're going to get that. But as long as they do the, New Day rocks, sucks chant at the end, that's all that matters.
And crowds don't react, and that's just booty, man.
Yeah,
it's true.
You got to turn that into booty aid,
Paul had said about the feuding with the Usos. It's funny. I don't know if the title tournament changed the plan, but I mean, I know it happened on SmackDown, but they mentioned on Raw that the Lucha Dragons won a match to be the number one contenders to be for the tag titles, and they were kind of setting that up, and then now it's just kind of forgotten about.
That's a completely fair point.
It seems like they've done that to them a bunch of times, though.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and but I don't know. I'm wondering what's going on with that whole tag division in general. We got to ask Brandon too. I mean, Brandon, what was your thoughts on the New Day? Which one would you have rather had? Would you have rather had what the original thought process was on the Nation, or are you enjoying New Day too much?
I love the way New Day is now. I understand how that they were trying to go for a Nation of Domination type gimmick in the beginning, but I mean at least for me and you guys were talking about it before. I think the best. It seems to me. Looking throughout history, there are obviously some exceptions, but the guys that get the most pop, the guys that get the best reaction out of fans and that are the most popular and who are, the top guys, it seems, almost always are guys that creative or the company wants to have them go one way, but the fans say, no. We're forcing you to push them this way, and they're basically going to be tweeners as a result. Look at Stone Cold. Look at The Rock. Look at, Mick Foley. All of these guys, the company wanted to do one thing with them, and the fans said, no, we like it this way. You're going to keep it this way.
Daniel Bryan to a...
Yeah, exactly. One. Daniel Bryan as well. Punk.
Yeah. So before we get to the final thing here, I want to go around and everybody say what their favorite match from one of the 3 tournament matches that were actually good. Which one was your favorite? Paul?
For sure had to be Reigns and Cesaro.
That's me too.
Yeah, that's my opinion. It was Reigns Cesaro.
Yeah, Reigns Cesaro, definitely.
Yeah, I know there's some people that liked there's people like Owens and Neville a little bit more. People liked, the Ambrose and Ziggler, the way it was done, so
we can all still was surprisingly bad.
Who?
That Del Rio and Kalisto was kind of surprisingly bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It had the best spot in the whole show with Kalisto's mask being taken off.
Yeah, I wonder if Kalisto pulled a gun at him too. So.
Now, what I'm curious with that is, are they, especially? I mean, obviously, this isn't Lucha Underground or AAA or anything like that, so maybe the fans don't care as much. But is having Kalisto's mask being pulled off and whatnot, are they gonna switch him up some? Are they gonna switch him up now? I mean, I'm assuming not, since he still came out as Kalisto on SmackDown, but are they gonna do anything with that? Because you would think now they have to change his whole gimmick now.
Not necessarily. We all seen what Rey Mysterio looked like, and they still said it's Rey's under a mask, and nobody knows what it looked like, even though anybody can go on YouTube and be like, oh hey, Rey was a mask in WCW. So.
Yeah.
I mean,
even then, there was times where they had him be unmasked in WWE too. So.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, he just looked too good. They just had to mask him.
That's exactly why. It's just. But yeah, I mean, so let's get to this. Caused a lot of controversy when it happened on Monday with the Divas contract signing, main eventing. Not only main eventing, but also what was said with Paige bringing up Charlotte's. Well, not Charlotte was first one to bring him up, but then Paige kind of delivered the dagger with saying something about. He didn't have much fight in him either. That was, it is what it is. I mean, the way he died, that's kind of wrong. But, you know, apparently everybody was, at least Charlotte was okay with it. Whether Rick was told or not, that's one thing. And honestly, I don't think everybody in the family needs to be told everything. But that's just my opinion on it. To me, a lot of this came off terrible. Charlotte is terrible on the microphone. Sorry, she is so deadpan. Like, I don't know if if there's somebody that needs to be taking acting classes, it's Charlotte. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know how you can have somebody that's so charismatic like her father, and then you get deadpan lady in Charlotte that just, I don't know, man.
Good flair, so I mean, it's not that surprising.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. What did you think, Paul? Like, just.
I'm with you on her not being great on the microphone, but I think I don't think she knows how to play face. I really don't. Because she's the one that sort of initiates all of the big talk here, and we sort of have Paige just go for the jugular. Admittedly, probably too deep.
Well, I mean, it's fine. It's what heels are supposed to do. Like, I didn't have a problem with it in that sense.
Well, this is my biggest problem with it. First of all, the feud is just not that hot enough. It's been like a tepid 2 weeks, and now they're main eventing Raw and throwing out family stuff. It's like they think the feud is hotter than what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has nothing to do with the feud either.
Exactly. Well, yeah. So, I mean, I hated the Eddie's in Hell thing, but from a story perspective, okay, Ray is literally using Eddie, whatever his name, whatever he can get. We have never been introduced to Reed, never known his name. The wrestling casual fans probably don't even know who he is. So it's just like, why bring him up when it has nothing to do with the story at all?
Well, I think that's the one way that they kind of could get away with it, because really only the true, like, that's one of those moments where only the true fans know, and they're shocked and like, oh my god, what did she just say? And the casual fans are just there, scratching their heads like, what is she talking about? And they don't fully understand. They get the pop as a result, because it's like, ooh, that's what, whatever. But, it does, like, that's the reason why I don't have as big of a problem with it, because, most casual fans wouldn't get it, with the way she said it, they don't get it as deep. And in terms of, like, them main eventing and whatnot, I do kind of agree. I agree with you guys that, it's a little too fast. But I think that's this whole thing of the company just trying to force it so much that, this Divas Revolution is going on and everything. And they're trying to force it in that, they're on the same level as the men, even if they're not quite yet.
What were you trying to say, Chris?
I was going to say, if casual fans are not getting it, then why even bring it up? They should be trying to sell the pay-per-view to the casual fans and sell the feud to the casual fans. So if they think it has no bearing on them, then they shouldn't even thought about, okay, let's script this.
Mm-hmm. You bring something up too, and this is the thought process for me as well. And I think it's kind of interesting they would do this here, but not with Flair and other situations, because Rick's been on TV plenty of times since before this whole thing with Charlotte, and so he's never brought up Reed. He's never, as far as I remember, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I just never heard him bring up Reed at all on WWE television. It's been other promotions that he's done that. So what's the point of her doing it, especially if her father's never acknowledged it? And so I think that really just doesn't help anybody. It doesn't bring any new life into this feud, really. They're supposed to, but everybody sitting at home's like, oh, well, whatever, unless you just know it. Go ahead, Chris.
Gary, it's like, okay, I know it's heels getting heat, but it's 2015 now, so a lot of people are in the know. Kayfabe is more or less dead. Mm-hmm. So when people say stuff like that, everyone's like, there's no heat on Paige, but it's heat on the company. which is what they shouldn't want.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
Well, but I mean that's the problem now is there really is nowhere you can go where you're gonna get heat on your heels without also getting heat on the company as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. And to me, here's my personal opinion about it, though. If the family's cool with it, let it be. Whatever. I mean, that's fine. I mean, if you want to allow them to make fun or say something about your family member that passed away, okay, then it's your call. That's no one else's call, But I mean, it may be in bad taste, but when's WB, not done something in bad taste? It was prevalent at one time.
Well, does anybody have anything else? I mean, like, I thought that Raw was bad. For something that they're trying to show that it was real, there was so many times where Charlotte wasn't even hitting Paige. And that whole part where Paige gets to there, it felt so forced. The Charlotte crying thing felt so forced, too. Like, it just, I don't know, none of it felt natural.
Mm-hmm.
It just, other than maybe parts of Paige's stuff, it all was, I don't know.
I'll say one thing before I get going. The thing that just really bothered me. It's like, this is the go home to Survivor Series, where they're promoting 25th anniversary of The Undertaker. We're getting a new WWE champion on Sunday. Where's the build to that? They should have had a stronger closer for that. While, you should have talked. Oh, I just even realized it today. Hey, both the U.S. and IC champion are in the final or in the semifinals. One of them could walk out as a double champion. Hell, the finals, even though it won't happen, the finals could be U.S. champion versus IC champion to make the next WWE champion. That's huge. Mention that. Or hey, a promo between Reigns and Ambrose talking about how they might face each other in the finals. Just stuff like that. It's like, it's such a missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm, exactly. That's something you could have done in the second hour, and it would have been cool, and it could have added more oomph to your show, actually. The Divas thing, and then you close with the title thing. What you want them to remember is, even though you had those title matches on that show, is, hey, this is the most important thing about our pay-per-view right now, is this title thing, and they needed to give all those guys an opportunity to kind of say their piece or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there are two things that are much bigger in terms of overall power and just overall importance than this Divas titles match. And as you guys were mentioning before, they haven't really had that much of a build-up up until now for that match anyway. So why are you suddenly trying to force it into a main event, the Raw before before Survivor Series, when you have two things that are huge in the World Heavyweight title tournament thing, and Undertaker, Brothers of Destruction against the Wyatts. You've got two things that you could have easily put into the main event somehow that they just didn't for whatever reason.
No. If they would have put Brothers of Destruction against the Wyatts, no one cares. That feud is...
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd say I'd care more about that than I do about the Divas title.
I agree with you, but they killed it when they had them beat all four of them up.
That's true.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, all we have to do, I guess, now is rate that Raw. So, Paul, what do you?
5.5, 6, somewhere in there. Good wrestling, not so good everything else.
Yeah, I'll say 6 for the wrestling. Most of the storyline stuff, aside from New Day's promo and Ambrose's promo, is kind of whatever.
I'll go with a 5. Wrestling was good, but for a home draw pay-per-view, it was the stories and it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, there was not enough. There was no story there to hook you other than the fact that, hey, there's a tournament going on, guys. Hope you watch on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with a 5 too. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I'll go with the 6. I mean, as you guys were saying, wrestling wasn't bad. I mean, the Cesaro Reigns match was very good. So you had that, and you had a few other decent matches, but beyond that, story-wise and other things, nothing really to other than the whole main event thing. There wasn't really anything that caught your eye, and even that, wasn't done as well as it could have been.
For sure. Chris, before I know you said you were going to go pretty quick here. I have a question for you, but I want to make sure that is there anything else you wanted to kind of talk about before you do go?
Oh no, that was it.
Okay, so this is going to bring up something. I know it's kind of from earlier in the podcast from the Open, really, but I just want to bring this up because you are a guy that travels to a lot of these big events, and especially you've been to a lot of WrestleManias. And this year's WrestleMania, of course, you'll be going, and we'll all be going to WrestleMania 32 in Dallas. But with the past events in Paris and all those kind of things, I just got to ask you, I mean, does this bring up a new thought or anything in your mind when you're headed that way of, hey, there could be danger, or do you just kind of do what Paul said, not worry about it, just go have fun? I mean, there's been people talking about this a lot. I just want to ask your personal opinion.
Like what Paul said, I just have fun, anything could happen. Like something could happen to me walking outside my front door, so it just, I can't let that stuff ruin my good time.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. That's good to hear. I mean, I was just kind of curious because, like I said, you've been to a lot of WrestleManias and you traveled from, I know you went to California. You've been around the country. So I think that's really interesting. I just wanted to ask your personal opinion on that, So I'm glad to hear that. So, but, do you have anything to plug? I know you have your podcast you've been doing.
Well, right now my podcast is on hold due to one of my hosts is about to join the Navy, so I'm going to do a little reboot here in January.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, just, of course, we'll be interested to hear what that is when it comes up, man. So we definitely appreciate you giving us a call.
Yeah, and hopefully something interesting happens at Survivor Series. It's my big thing.
Any bold predictions?
Roman turns heel on Dean, and either Dean Ambrose sees the hologram of Seth Rollins and starts freaking out, and no, I'm just kidding.
Just got to ring a monitor. You'll be okay.
Ray sort of monitor in his face and wins.
There you go. So that's Chris Limsky's bold prediction for Survivor Series, folks. Love it.
Survivor. Do you think they're going to have Roman put Dean in the sharpshooter?
Dear God.
Oh, God, no. Please, no.
No. It would be an interesting thing because of, them.
Just no.
No. Just no.
Wait 2 more years. They'll do it. They'll do it in 2007 for the 20th anniversary.
Yeah. There you go. Oh man. Well, Brandon, I'm just kind of curious. Do you have any bold predictions for anything that you want to say about Survivor Series?
I'm not sure. The only bold prediction I can say is, and this isn't really all that bold of a prediction, but someone's gonna turn in that World Heavyweight title match. So someone's joining the Authority.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I have a feeling that it will be Reigns against Ambrose, and someone is going to get some help.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go. So that's Brandon Biscobing's bold prediction for Survivor Series, folks. And
not so.
Yeah, not so bold, but there you go. It's, at least you got a little hint in there for us what you think. I like that. Yeah. So, well, man, Brandon, we really appreciate you calling, man. It's awesome, and we get a chance to talk to you about some Raw. Yep. Thanks for calling, man.
Yep, and I'll talk to you guys on Sunday.
Awesome. Talk to you then, bro. Later. All right, guys. Well, it is time for us to get on out of Monday Night Raw and jump into some NXT. That's right. We've got a lot of things to talk about NXT-wise, and you don't want to forget, following NXT, we will be breaking down Survivor Series. You don't want to miss that. But for now, let's head over to Full Sail University.
WWE Developmental NXT.
Alrighty, NXT. So, hold on. Let me get to the point here. We start off with Carmella versus Nia Jax. And Carmella had the most offense out of anyone against Nia Jax. And she had the crowd believing there for a little bit that she was going to be able to get one on her. But it was all for naught as Nia countered the Hurricane Rana sort of attempt on her into her bear hug spine buster thing, and then the leg drop, and Nia wins. But what did you guys think?
Another squash. I mean, I think I'm coming around to Nia. I think she's the perfect opponent, I think, for Bayley right now. Just another big obstacle to overcome. So I mean, I'm really looking forward to when those two hook up.
It'll be very, really interesting. This match right now, though, I think it's kind of interesting that Carmella herself got some offense going. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Carmella or anything, but I think she's a good talent, and I'm glad she got a little, oomph here because, a lot of times against Nia Jax, you don't get much. But Nia Jax, I'm just curious to see how she does and how she'll fare. Now, I have to point this out, and I've really thought about this, and you guys have to tell me if you disagree. But I have been a fan of the movie Shrek since it came out. Good stuff, good family-friendly movie. But there's a certain character that reminds me a lot of Nia Jax, and that is the I don't know what it is. It's this cross-dresser looking. I just see the resemblance. Do you think about it? Think about it.
No.
Come on.
Oh, okay. I think I kind of
see
saying,
it,
but
yeah.
Not really.
No.
Come on, you guys.
I don't see it, Gary.
I'm gonna do it side by side, and you guys are gonna be like, "Oh, I don't know." Not saying anything bad about Nia Jax. She's great. I'm not making it fun. I don't think it's about her looks. I think it's about the wrestling gear for me. I think that's what makes me think about it. So I don't know. I just had to throw that out there. No, disagree. Whatever. So. Hey, I just had to say it. I'm sorry. I just had to bring it up.
No, it's fine, Gary.
I'm going to get killed for a listener that loves her to death and is in love with her, and he's going to kill me. So I just had to say it, though.
Okay. Yeah. So Nia Jax is doing her thing, kicking butt, and we'll see. We'll hear more about her later, but. The next thing here is that Alexa basically is all in about that she's blissed off.
I died right there during the promo.
Never thought they would make that connection, but okay.
Dangerously close to Blizz, but yeah, I get it.
She can't be part of the Blizz Cliz for sure.
Yeah.
So, basically she gets told that Blake and Murphy are barred from ringside, so at least we'll have some fairness in that match happening later. And then we get the Ascension and Chad Gable versus Jason Jordan. I thought once again the boys brought it and gave us something, some entertaining stuff here. And the crowd was insane for the Ascension.
Yeah, which is weird because, they got to the main roster, did nothing. But anyways, the Ascension are here, Chad Gable, Jason Jordan are here. It's a fine match. Nothing like, oh my gosh, stop what you're doing and go watch this. But it's still good. I mean, Gable and Jordan continue to show us that they're probably the best tag team in NXT right now.
And that's great, and I'm happy for them. I think they're doing a great job, and they're willing and able. But
they sure are.
Yeah, so I mean, but the one thing that I got to point out that is not about them, it is the Ascension. And yes, the NXT crowd loves them, which every right to, since they got a chance to watch them quite often not too long ago. But to Paul's point, they're not over anymore. They went to the main roster, fell flat. There's nothing to really be excited about. I just think this is terrible in a way that they have to go all the way back to NXT and get put down again. I feel terrible for those guys. That's all I want to say.
That's a one-off. They wanted to face the longest reigning NXT champions ever. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Because they couldn't wrestle themselves, Gary. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah. I guess. I'm sorry. These guys can't get a win, and I think they deserve one somewhere.
Oh, but they're so. I mean, I just love the fact that NXT crowd just freaking went nuts for them. I mean, it's just like, wow, the difference is amazing. It shows you sometimes, though, like what a vocal minority can hurt. Just. You think that they're going to be something because they're huge at NXT and then they get the main roster. And
I think it kind of hurts the credibility, though, of some of these other NXT stars, because I keep hearing people say because they got over in NXT doesn't mean they're getting over on the main roster. And
when it's true.
It is true, but then again, I'm like, they expect everybody from NXT to be nothing because, you can't trust that crowd. I don't think that's true. I think just because the crowd's behind them in NXT doesn't mean they're not going to be successful.
But it's also how the creative is behind them in NXT.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. I think that the Ascension could have totally been a dominant force if they wanted them to. They didn't.
Yeah, they shot themselves in the foot right out the gate with the Ascension up on the main roster.
That was so dumb.
This awful idea. Awful.
How the hell do you debut them and have them lose to the frickin' New Age Outlaws?
I don't know.
Stupid. Yeah, absolutely stupid. But that's another story for another day, or one that we've already talked about ad nauseum sometimes here. But let's be ready and willing to move on to Emma taking on the former Rosie Lotta Love and Mary Kate, or I guess she still is that, and since she's just enhancement talent here. But I thought Mary Kate had some good moments. She looked good here, and other than the losing weight, and Emma, she again continues to turn up that viciousness in here. Showing that she's definitely going to give Asuka a challenge, or at least they're going to try to make it seem that way.
Till she gets kicked in the face. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I dig Angry Emma. I really hope that they do something more with her. Because, she's just going to get fed to Asuka here, so, that's going to happen. But the journey's fun so far.
Just thinking about her getting kicked in the face by Asuka, is she going to be wobbling and thinking, "Oh, Rhonda, I know how you feel now." Just imagining that. But yeah, I think that's going to be the final result. But I'm thrilled that at least Emma's getting an opportunity to look good and to showcase what she can do and to showcase some viciousness. I think that works. That works pretty well for her, and I hope she gets a chance to do it in the future.
So if we were to see Mary Kate again, Paul, would you be able to tell the people why we should want to see her again in NXT if she's around?
Maybe.
Do you know any history of her or where she comes from or anything?
She didn't ring a bell, but that doesn't mean anything.
She is the former Rosie Lotta Love. I know she was in
TNA.
TNA for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
Back when TNA's knockout division was actually pretty good, or they cared about it seemingly.
Right.
Has she done anything indie wise?
Nothing that I can think of that immediately jumps to mind. She's not a big shimmer person. I haven't seen her work Shine yet.
All right. Well, Hey, she does have some kind of background there, so I mean, I guess they brought her in on that. You could tell she was kind of hoping. Some people knew her because she'd kind of like pander the crowd a bit, and there was not a lot for her there. But who knows? Who knows? We've been surprised on who they wind up signing and who not. The next people is we get Dash and. Other than Baron Corbin, I thought he cut a nice little promo here, kind of telling Apollo Crews, "Hey, do you accept my challenge to take over London?" So we know that's happening. But we do get Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson taking down some jobbers and Corey Hollis and John Skyler. I thought they did their thing here. That's what they do, taking out the leg and all that. I mean, pretty normal thing for Wilder and Dawson.
For sure. Very almost a squash. I just they're so old school. I really dig that. Just can't get enough. Dash and Dawson they're legit.
Yeah, I mean, they are, and, it's fun watching them. I mean, this was okay, nothing just spectacular, but, I mean, you gotta love, these guys and, what they do week in and week out.
Dana challenges Asuka to a rematch next week on NXT. So I did like the fact that they tried to interview Asuka, and she has her mask on, so she won't respond, which was kind of neat. I thought Dana did well here. Joe also gets his little promo where he says, I'm not there because they're worried about Finn retaliating, and Joe starts laughing as he thinks it's funny. And then we get this NXT Women's Title match, which, isn't like the greatest thing ever, but it's pretty good, and, Bayley retains, so I thought solid stuff all around.
I still thought this was a pretty good match. Certainly one of Alexa Bliss's better efforts in NXT. It certainly helps being in there with Bayley, but I don't know, just really well worked match. There's a lot of arm work that I can really appreciate Alexa doing on Bayley, and I mean, we get the "Hey, we want some Bayley" chant. Who doesn't love that?
Oh, it's so good. I really like that chant.
It's awesome. It's one of the best chants I think they come up with.
Oh, man, I should put that in the intro.
You should.
But you know what? One of the worst things is that they had Eva Marie come out at the end to interrupt. And the crowd chants no at her before she could even speak. Bayley can't even hear Eva. They have to, Bayley has to get really close to her and everything. And it's just hilarious that they won't shut up so that Eva can talk. But yeah, so Bayley's going to be offending against Eva next week. Yeah.
I don't think I could still tell, even after all that. I didn't know what we were getting. Because
I didn't either.
That crowd was so loud and so dead set on nobody being able to understand what Eva Marie was going to say that I think by their sheer force of will, that match won't be happening.
I pray to God it doesn't. I want to see. I want to see Bayley survive and actually make it to her next match. So, I pray to God that doesn't happen.
Yeah, we already saw. I imagine that Nia will probably be involved somewhere in there too. So we shall see when we get to it. That's
right. So, I mean, I'm really curious to see, if they ever tell us what was discussed behind those closed doors, So,
I'm sure they will do that pretty soon here.
I hope so. Just hope so. All right, guys. Well, that is NXT. I hope you enjoyed that. Lots of cool stuff like always. But now it is time for us to go ahead and jump into some Survivor Series talk, and we will be doing some predictions here. So let's go ahead and get this thing going. All
Certainly
right.
not one of the best songs. Or whatever.
No.
I like
They are.
Imagine Dragons, but they have better songs.
Yeah, you can't always hit a home run out the park. Sometimes you got to just deal with a strikeout. Well, before we jump into the card and really kind of break down some of what we do know, let's talk about this first to-be-announced match. I just got to throw it out there and just kind of get your guys' thoughts. It's wild to me. We're on the eve of this Survivor Series, and we don't even know the traditional Survivor Series match. I mean, I don't understand it. I'm just kind of curious. Do you guys have any thoughts? Do you have any teams in mind? I mean, I'm just for a loss of words.
I think the New Day and all that Uso stuff is probably what that is.
Yeah, I imagine New Day will be on one side with whoever they can probably scrounge together here. And then you'll have Lucha Dragons and Usos and probably Ryback on the other side.
Yeah. I could see that. I totally could. And I mean, it's just, why have they not announced this? I mean, why don't they at least put it out there? Is it supposed to be some kind of big secret? I didn't think it was.
I think this is another fatality of the Rollins injury, honestly, because it seems like they've almost thrown away the book and just started over. So,
talking about that, I guess we can kind of jump into this thing. Let's go ahead and start out by talking about one of the matches that we've kind of alluded to a lot in this show, and I mean, you guys probably have your predictions right away. But let's go ahead and talk about The Undertaker and Kane, the Brothers of Destructions. They'll be facing off against Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. Thoughts on this, and who is your winner?
Undertaker and Kane win by DQ. I think the rest of the Wyatt family jumps in. Wyatt and Strowman beat them down some more, and we keep on plugging away.
Yeah, what Paul said kind of makes a lot of sense. I could even see them winning, and then just have the beat down or whatever, and it continues. I don't know if you want to hurt Strowman right now. That's why I don't understand why they didn't just. I think the only reason they didn't pick Harper and Rowan is because then it would just be a foregone conclusion as to what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true, and I think the Brothers of Destruction will win too, and I think Paul probably does hit it on the head on the nail because disqualification just makes the most sense. There's a lot of other ways you could look at this, but I just think that that's the way they're going to go with this whole thing. Let's go ahead and move on to the next match here. Dolph Ziggler versus Tyler Breeze. This is going to be interesting. Is Tyler going to get a chance to look good here, or is Ziggler going to get a win?
Gosh, there's a part of me that wants Breeze to win here. I don't know if that's going to happen though. I'll do Tyler Breeze via some Summer Rae interference gets the victory.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Was that he has Summer Rae that can make it to where maybe it's not a totally clean victory for him, but he gets a win and he gets help, and so it doesn't make Dolph look bad too much. Even though they don't really care whether Dolph looks bad at this point. But.
Right.
We're gonna hit the hat trick again. I'm going with you guys as well. I think that Tyler Breeze
has to be one of until we get to that last match. This has to be one of the most predictable pay-per-views.
To be honest with you, I agree with you. I'm trying to draw this out a little bit because it would just be like bling, 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 bling. Let's be honest, but there it is. So we all think Tyler Breeze is going to win, and I think I really hope he does. He deserves it for all the hard work in NXT. WWE Divas Championship match. Now let's hope that they don't bring any other people that have passed on up in this one. But Charlotte is the champion, and she'll be facing off against Paige. Let's kind of give our thoughts on that one. What do you think? Who wins?
Charlotte retains. I don't see a reason to lift it off of her yet. So, Charlotte retains.
If you have Charlotte Chase, I think people are going to care even less. Honestly, that's how I feel right now. I don't feel like. And I think this is on WWE, honestly. They're not trying to establish anything about Charlotte other than this is Ric Flair's daughter, and I cry about things, and I get mad, and whatever. Like, there is no character set for Charlotte. You don't even know, other than, like, they couldn't even make that damn thing about the title on Monday. Like, that's what made me upset, too, is that you're making this whole thing about a Divas Revolution, and then at the end of the day, we can't even establish that it's like Paige kind of made it seem like she wanted the title, but then, like, Charlotte would tell her that she's not a champion, and all this stuff. I don't know. They tried to make it personal in the wrong way. And for that, it suffers, and I think Charlotte ends up, because of that, they kind of gave you a blueprint as to why Charlotte's going to win. Paige just made it personal, so Charlotte's going to get the vendetta, and she wins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I totally see where you're coming from, and, I kind of thought, well, maybe if Paige can win this, maybe that they can go in a different direction, and it just won't be Charlotte, but I think right now they want Charlotte to be the champion, they want to continue this, they want her to build on what she's got going, and it may not be strong, but I definitely think that they want to keep her in that position as champion, so I think I'll agree with you. Definitely Charlotte on this one.
What happened to Natty? Like, did she not care about the fact that Paige, attacked her at all, I guess?
Probably not.
Poor Natty. If she's, if she's not farting, she's not on Raw. It sucks. But anyway, well, let's move on.
She's exclusive to Total Divas, then.
There you go. And she has other gimmicks that she plays with on that show. We'll talk about that later. Well, not on this show, at least. But let's go ahead and jump on to the World Title Tournament. Let's go ahead and get on to the first one. We have Mr. Roman Reigns facing off against Alberto Del Rio. Now, I mean, this one's pretty obvious, but I'm just going to ask the question anyway. Who's your winner?
Gotta be Reigns. Gotta be Reigns. If Del Rio makes it to the final, I think everybody's turning off their network right then and there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm turning it off. I'll start doing the ravel for that Arizona and Cincinnati game in the middle of the thing.
Yeah. For Mex America, here we are. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Roman Reigns, he's the promised child. So let's move on to Dean Ambrose facing off against Kevin Owens, one of my favorites. I just got to know it. I mean, what do you guys think?
You got to go Dean here, too. I think just because it's obvious doesn't mean it's not the right way to go.
Yeah, I think it's destined to be Dean and Roman. It makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I just hate it because I wish Kevin Owens was in that hunt. Not just because I want him to be the world champion. I would just like to see him get a shot.
It just makes too much sense with Rollins being the one that's down. And,
No, I totally agree. I'm not discounting that at all. I just, my Kevin Owens fandom, he is not lazy, Melissa. I don't care what you say. He's a good guy. So, but yes, no, I think, we've kind of agree on that as well. So, it looks like for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, we will have Dean Ambrose facing off against Roman Reigns, former brothers in the Shield, good friends. This is the battle. We've all heard the thoughts of, one of them's going to turn heel, and I've got to know what you guys think. Give me your predictions on this one.
I don't know if one of them has got to turn heel, because I could see Dean sort of, taking the help from the Authority, winning the belt, and then hitting somebody in the Authority with the belt and walking off and just being a wild card champion, which I think would be fun. Totally okay with that idea. So, this is the hardest one. I think the WWE sticks with the game plan and they give it to Reigns, whether he's face or heel or not. I think it's his time.
I would really like to see Roman have a moment where he's a heel for a while. I think that's going to help him. I think it's going to help him establish being a better promo. I think it's not that I want to see. I hope to God they don't start thinking that we need to have Roman Reigns out there for 20 minutes. But I think it lets him just have different things to be able to say to people and just maybe develop some kind of character for himself, and that's outside of all the just normal Roman Reigns stuff, and just develop better as a wrestler, because he won't be able to do the Superman punch and all that. I mean, I would assume he'd have to stop doing that. It's not a heel move, but I think he already really gives you that vibe sometimes in certain interviews that he does and whatever. I'd like to see it. I'm not opposed to Ambrose turning either. Would be interesting because, again, you'd have that mold of, do you have him sort of act like he's going to join the corporation or the authority in this instance, and then he, sooner rather than later decides to defect from it and be his own person? Ambrose just doesn't fit that mold. Like, they can say whatever they want about people are pushing for it, but Roman Reigns would be more of the guy that would, fit more of that mold. Ambrose strikes me as the guy that can't believe that two of his friends betrayed him already.
Yeah.
More of the betrayer. So I just can't see Ambrose doing it. If there's going to be a guy that turns, I think it's Reigns, and I think Reigns gets it at the end of the day.
I can totally see where y'all are coming from, and I think I'm going to give mine to Dean Ambrose, and I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't. This is predictions for a reason. I have no idea what's going to happen.
How many times have we probably been wrong?
Yeah. But the reason and this is my hope and dream, and so it means it's not going to happen, but I really hope that they have this match. It's a good match. Ambrose finds a way to win in the end. Of course, you get Roman Reigns reluctant, but, shakes his hand, congratulates him, loses the match, and then the next night he goes, hey, Ambrose, congrats again, but I really want another shot. And Ambrose says, sure, maybe, we'll get there. I'm hoping by the time we get to the next pay-per-view, and during this time, I really want Reigns to be making allusions to him making a deal with the devil, which is the Authority. And by that time, he does have that second match, and the Authority finds a way to help him to win. I think it'd be kind of cool that way. That's just me. That probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but I want to see a little bit of build to this heel turn. I don't just want him to just flip the switch unless it really makes sense. They better make it make sense if they're going to do it this Survivor Series.
A lot of the times the heel turn is a flip of the switch, and it does work itself out that next night on Raw or in the next build of the pay-per-view or whatever. So.
Yeah.
Hey, it would get a repeat of his cousin doing that many years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm totally cool with that too. So, just for fun, I'll choose Dean. Maybe I'll get lucky. We'll never know. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up Survivor Series for us. That's our predictions, and we hope that you all get a chance to go check out the predictions on Formula1Mania.com. There's going to be a roundtable up for you on Saturday, and we hope you check that out. There are lots of great people on there, giving their predictions and thoughts, and just a lot of interesting, things that you can comment on that thread. So, okay, guys, well, let's go ahead and get out of here and move on to something else. And what I'm talking about is Ring of Honor. I can't wait to get a chance to get into this. So Paul is going to lead us down that road. We'll be right back. All right, Paul.
All right. Ring of Honor opens with something I think we've all been begging for. Silas Young is trying to turn the boys into men, so he has them change the tire on his car. The boys suck at it and try to use hand sanitizer the whole time. It is hilarious. Also, they can't drive stick. Just so you know.
I can't drive stick either, so.
It's funny, and I actually watched this Ring of Honor episode before I had this happen to me, but I had a flat tire on Wednesday night, and so a buddy was actually with me and noticed I had a flat tire, and I remember getting the flat tire and putting it back in the back of the car, and I remember putting it up against my shirt and thinking, oh, Gary, you shouldn't have done that. You messed your shirt all up and all that, and then I thought of those boys. I should just grab me some hand sanitizer, a little frilly man. Yeah, so yeah, I had my moment, boys. Don't worry, we're all in it. Silas Young can bully all of us.
And the bullying did not stop there. Silas Young and the Beer City Bruiser took on War Machine, who will be challenging for the tag titles at Final Battle. It did not go well for Silas Young and the Beer City Bruiser here. The boys try to get involved to stop Hanson. It doesn't work. They ended up getting taken out by the Bruiser, and then Bruiser eats Fallout, and that's about it.
Yeah. Not a great match, really. I mean, it's okay. It's what it is. You know, it's really about, for me personally, about the gimmick and all that. I mean, and not only that, you get to see, War Machine pretty much take care of business. That's part of the reason you want to watch this. But in general, it's about the gimmick for me, and I enjoyed it okay. So, it's okay.
I kind of had the same feeling as Gary. Just, hey, it's you get to see them bust some people up, and that's what they do.
That's true. I mean, the match is fine. There's a lot of power spots, so if you're into all that, there's some good stuff to be had there. But overall, it's very mediocre, I would say. We move on to something I was interested in. Nigel McGuinness and Steve Corino having a promo together talking about Corino's status with Ring of Honor. He broke the zero tolerance policy. Nigel can't reinstate Corino as a commentator, but he can reinstate him as a wrestler, pretty much hinting towards Corino and Whitmer having a fight without honor at Final Battle. Corino, all sorts of, hey, I'm beat up, but my in-ring career is over. Bada, bada, bada. Pretty much, they're both hurt. That's where we're at.
This was good. We'll have to see if that surgery makes it to where this is not happening anyway. So, it kind of sucks because this promo was good, and I was really I've been into this feud with this thing with Whitmer and Corino, and now that we may not even get to see it happen, kind of really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of a bummer. It is what it is, though. I mean, there'll be other things come up, and I just need Corino at that desk. I just really need him at that desk. Nigel, we say it week in and week out, but come on. We need somebody. Nigel, get somebody else back there. You're good at doing what you do backstage.
For sure. We get some more fun with Silas Young. He's trying to teach the boys how to use a urinal. Urinal. Wow, words. One of them tries to sit on it. It's about as funny as it sounds.
I love it.
Adam Cole doing Inside Ring of Honor again. He hates Kyle O'Reilly. That's about it. Michael Elgin squashes Kevin Lee Davidson. That's about it.
Okay, and you got to answer two things for me. And the one is okay. Michael Elgin, I watched him, and he's great, but man, that was just too fast of a squash. I don't know. I get it. A huge guy like that, he beats him like that. One clothesline and it's done. Like, oh man, he's powerful, but I don't know. That was too fast. And the other thing is, did Kevin Kelly really forget the kid's name? Or was that this is a nobody?
I mean, maybe he didn't bother to memorize the name, seeing as it's only going to take Elgin a clothesline to win.
Yeah, I know. It made me actually think, hey, we do this podcast week in and week out. Sometimes you misplace your spot on, what you're reading, and you kind of fumble a little bit, and you're like, oh, wait, there you go. I thought, is that live? Of course, they edit their show, but I thought, no, he's probably taking a dig at this kid because he's nobody.
That's fair.
So, it is what it is. But I enjoyed that, for what it's worth. But, the other thing, I just have to go back. Are you going to mention it later, or is this after this where they have the plungers?
I think that's... no, I think it was the urinal thing.
Okay, so I think that was funny as well. I'm loving these moments with Silas Young and the boys. Not only are they, sitting on the urinal, and of course, we allude to the fact that Silas Young just took a big deuce, and they're smelling it, and they're terrified by it. Yeah. But think of the fact that they were standing outside the women's bathroom, and they were going to go in there. That's what I loved as well. I was like, really? Wow. So it made me think about some things. So, but anyway, I thought those were just too funny.
Yeah. Anything to add, Sean?
No, those are great. And I mean, I can attest to sometimes, Anaya, she's older now. She's like, why don't you go into the girls' bathroom, Daddy? And like, because I can't go into the girls' bathroom, I'm not a girl. So you have to go with me into the boys' bathroom. Sorry.
Yeah, daddies don't go into the women's bathroom unless it's okay.
Yeah, that never flies.
Yeah.
I can, take her into the guys' bathroom. They have to deal with it, but
Yeah.
not the other way around.
Right. Yeah, that creates a whole nother host of problems. But
Yeah.
Elgin also very briefly talks about his time in Japan and how it made him realize that his focus should be on the ROH title. So there's an allusion to him possibly challenging Jay Lethal for the belt at Wrestle Kingdom, which is a giant rumor floating around right now. Main event. Huh?
Which would be nice to see if they did it.
It would be really cool. Kevin Kelly's also when him and Stryker are doing the English commentary for Wrestle Kingdom.
Well, now
Ooh, I like that.
To listen to Japanese commentaries.
I love Stryker. I'll listen to it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought Kevin Kelly just.
I'll probably still listen to the English commentary just for the show purpose, but at any rate, the Kingdom and the Addiction face off once again in the main event. Sort of meh all the way around, I felt.
Yeah, they were just trying to out-heel each other, and it's fine. Like, it's funny at points, but then it's, like, not. It kind of gets like, And then I don't understand. I understand the whole, like, let's just have the guy in the red mask come in. It's just like, oh, come on, no.
Right.
Can no one ever lose?
You gotta love it, don't you? It is kind of crazy, but I just enjoyed it for the pure entertainment reasons. I think that's why I didn't have a problem with it. It's not great. It's not anything super spectacular, but to me, just entertaining enough for me to sit there and enjoy it. So, but I mean, I guess if you're going to take out of everything else we've talked about, it's probably more deserving than anything else of a main event. So,
War Machine comes out after the match, points at the Kingdom as they have the tag title match at Final Battle. So, drama and whatnot.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun. Oh yeah, I wish I would have done that when he pointed.
Do the Kill Bill thing.
Yeah. That's what I would have marked out completely. I love it. If Sean knows this about me, Paul, but I am a huge Quentin Tarantino nut. I would have loved it.
Yes.
So. But whatever.
Surprised
It is.
you're not telling me about that Dust Till Dawn TV show.
Yeah, I didn't really watch that. That was on.
That's on El Rey.
Yeah, I don't have El Rey, so.
Okay.
Just like I don't have Stars, and I want to watch The Evil Dead. I'll watch it. It just won't be legal. But anyway, do what?
It is some quality television.
Do you have Stars?
No, but I found a way.
Enough said. Enough said, Paul. You don't incriminate yourself, Paul. Enough said. Allegedly, he has a way to watch Stars.
Allegedly, yes.
Hey, he could just know someone with cable and use their login, which is not illegal. So.
Very true.
That is true, and I do know someone with Stars. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on to other things. This is great. I enjoyed Ring of Honor, but we need to talk some TNA, guys. So let's go ahead and head over there and join Dixie Carter with some Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, Gary, you never seem to ask me. I could have given you my...
Yes, we will converse about that on the flip side.
Yeah. Yeah, let me hit the button here.
You better play it.
TNA.
That was about enough all I could take there.
I knew it. I knew that's why Sean was stalling. He was like, "Do I have to do it?" Yes, Sean, and you're gonna have to do it once you get it here on Pop TV.
Thank God, it's on Pop TV. They better have a new song.
They're gonna keep it for you, buddy.
Yep.
So this is more of that World Title Series thing. That pretty much. Thankfully, it's starting to wind down because I'm starting to wind down on it. So Awesome Kong beat Brooke. Tigre Uno beat Manic. Eric Young beat James Storm. Mahabali Shera beat Aiden O'Shea. Eli Drake beat Crimson. And Bobby Roode beat Abyss in the longest match of the show, which is about 13 minutes. It was a lot of... There was some decent stuff in here. But, yeah. I didn't think there was anything, outstanding either.
No, I mean, Tigre Uno and Manic have a fun and fast 7-minute match. EY and James Storm had an okay match if you're into either one of those guys. The back half of the show, however, is a chore. Mahal Bali Shera and Aiden O'Shea, not very good. Eli Drake and Crimson, not very good.
Yeah. What about Bobby Roode and Abyss?
I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's got Bobby Roode. It's not going to be bad.
Yeah.
You got to have a splash of the, Bobby Roode somewhere, and that worked. There's really nothing, like you said, there's thrilling about this. Really, I mean, a lot of these are kind of predictable for the most part. I think O'Shea would be the one that I was kind of not really surprised, but I'd be like, oh, they should have gave him the win. Why did whatever his name is, Shira, win? I can't even say his name. Mahabali Shera, the Indian dude, anyway, the dancing guy. I like his dance. It's so odd. But anyway, I mean, for the most part, we are winding this thing down, and I'm excited about that because it has gone on. It seems way too long in a way. It's sad to say that I kind of want to see more creativity with TNA again. More other things going on.
When you leave them to their own devices, though.
Yeah, you're right. But it is what it is. So,
here's how it went down. Looks like Gail Kim and Awesome Kong are going to the next round. Manic, DJZ, and Tigre Uno, just like Paul said, we're going to have a triple threat. All at 6 points.
You just can't get away from it.
Yeah. Eric Young and Bobby Roode are moving on from the group of TNA Originals. Drew Galloway and it should be Rockstar Spud. Rockstar Spud and Bram are still tied at 3. Mahabali Shera won his group outright with the 9 points. Man, this dude. Kenny King and Aiden O'Shea are tied at 3. I don't know how that's going to work. It looks like Kenny King might move on there. Matt Hardy and Robbie E are going to be the ones moving on in the group of tag specialists. Kind of makes sense. Eli Drake and Micah will move on from the Future 4. Well, if Crimson was part of your future, I pity you. So that's how the groups stack up. And there you go.
All right. So, well, we hope you have a better TNA experience next week. This one wasn't, grand. It wasn't just in the toilet terrible, but it wasn't anything super special. So, hopefully next week we have a lot more discussion and have a lot more really quality things to talk about TNA. So, well, guys, that pretty much wraps up that. And, of course, that almost wraps up the show. But before we get out of here, we always have to do one thing, and that is crown a Superstar of the Week. We'll do that next.
Star of the Week.
All right, Paul, who do you got on your list this week?
Pretty easy. 2 through 5 are all the guys who moved on in the WWE World Title qualifier. So in order to be Del Rio at 5, Kevin Owens at 4, Roman Reigns at 3, Dean Ambrose at 2, and number 1 I gave to Bayley. Defender title, pretty solid match, all the way around. So, congrats to Bayley for me.
Sean, who's yours?
I've got. I think I had. Was it Owens or? Yeah, I think it was Owens. Then I had Bayley, Ambrose, and Cesaro, and Roman Reigns.
All right. For me personally, my number 5 is Cesaro. Did a great job against Roman Reigns. I thought it was great, thrilling, whatever. It was just a lot of fun to watch. Number 4 for me is Kevin Owens. I just got to give it to him. Qualified to go to that next round. Number 3 for me, Bayley, defending her title. Did a good job doing it. Congrats. Number 2 for me, Roman Reigns. Wow, this guy is trying to move on. He did an excellent job against Cesaro, but he did win the match, so he gets to get a chance to get higher on this. And number 1 for me is Dean Ambrose. Not only did he win his match, but he cut a promo that I really enjoyed, and of course I had to throw it in the intro for you guys to listen to again. So for us all, if you look at it, I got Ambrose 1, and these guys have Ambrose at 2, and so that all equals out to Dean Ambrose being our superstar of the week, everyone. So, of course, congrats to him, and hopefully we get to see more great things out of everyone we just kind of mentioned here. So, we want to let everybody know we will be doing a show Sunday night. Of course, we always do it. We'll be doing a review over Survivor Series, and we'll be having a lot of fun doing it. So you don't want to miss that. Check our Facebook group. We'll probably even tweet about it somewhere to let you guys know when we're going to start that and when we'll be listening to it live. If you want to listen to it live, we'll let you know when that's going to be. So you don't want to miss that. Rabble, Sean, are we going to be doing a live Rabble during the show?
I almost feel like, I thought we went okay last month. It's just these are kind of hard to do. With you're basically just giving thoughts on things as they go. I think Robert already asked off to do it, so I feel like we have to.
Okay.
Are you going to be available, Gary? Or are you doing something?
It could be a possibility. I'll have to let you know closer to time. But I might even pop in if I'm not there right on time, because it's going to be a fun, and it may not be a good idea for me to be on 3 hours with Robert. We would probably end up talking about terrible things. So.
It might make it entertaining. So,
it would be way entertaining, trust me. Ellen Winslow jokes and everything.
Sadly, he'll be more relevant there than he has in how many years? Once again, we're going to have to do the whole thing without Paul, which sucks. I hate it. But, real life duty calls. I somehow got off on Black Friday. I don't know how that's happening.
Sorcerer.
So I can go shopping on Black Friday for once in a freaking blue moon. But yeah, either way, we'll be doing that. I think we'll just go ahead and have Robert on the podcast then, if he can stay up that late. I don't know how that works for him. And then Paul will get to give his thoughts, I guess, on when we do our episode on Thursday. Or we won't be doing an episode on Thursday. We'll be doing an episode on Wednesday because obviously everybody's going to have Thanksgiving.
Yes.
To do. I somehow again lucked out and only have to work the morning, and I actually get to be around that night. But we'll have to just. Well, we'll do something Wednesday night. Gary doesn't have church that Wednesday, so as long as are you free? That'll also be us doing it on my birthday. So
yeah,
I get to do podcasts.
I know. I was gonna wait to do that on your birthday.
Are you available, Paul? Or are you?
I should be if we're doing it at our usual time.
Yeah, we will be. So.
All right. So just, I guess everybody, I don't know how we'll somebody try to make sure we watch all the shows.
Yeah, we will. We'll have to share them if nothing else, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. And then we'll just do it for you.
Yeah, for sure. So, once again, everybody, to make sure we're clarified, Sunday night pay-per-view review will be going on, and if you want to come listen to us talk, or at least, if nothing else, Sean and Robert talk about what's going on during the show, and you want to watch the show, listen to those guys
and Patrick too.
And Patrick, yes, can't forget about Patrick. So, I mean, that'll be a lot of fun. You should go check out Rabble. If you've never checked it out, go download that app. And it's a lot of fun to check out different games and, of course, WB events, and you can listen to people talk about them. So, and, of course, once again, like Sean said, on his birthday, live, we will be doing a show on Wednesday, not Thursday night. It'll be Wednesday night. It'll be on demand for you on Thanksgiving Day. So after you eat all your turkey, you stuff your face, and you're just so tired after watching all those football games. Yeah, or before, whatever you want to do. That's true. You could be cooking your turkey and wanting to hear us talk wrestling. Go do that. So we're going to be available all day on Thanksgiving Day, live on demand for you there. So, well, besides that, guys, we've got some other things I'm going to let Sean plug before we get out of here. So, Sean, you want to plug a few other things?
For one, if you are listening that morning while you're doing some of your turkey, I want you to tweet at us or something. That would be awesome. I'll be honored to find out that we are the listening of choice for you to listen to while you're doing something with your Thanksgiving morning. Anyway, yeah, so speaking of that, you can tweet at us at Wrestling2Max on Twitter. You can hit us up on Facebook, either at the WTM Network Facebook page, which you can just like, and you get all of our stuff that we do, whether it's the other podcasts, the Football to Football podcast that we'll do here in just a little bit. If you're listening live and want to hear about that, or you're on demand, you know where to find that. I did the co-op multi earlier today. Basically, all the podcasts are being done all in a row now, so I can have more time to do things instead of me trying to bounce around, figure out which night I'm doing the gaming one. We did a whole talk about the Nintendo Direct, and both Mark and I played Fallout, so we got to give all of our thoughts on Fallout 4 and just all the other stuff that's going on in the gaming news. And then we've also got, I think you have to find them on, right now it's still called the VOC Nation 2 on iTunes. I don't know what it's going to get changed to later. But if you download the VOC or go subscribe to the VOC Nation 2, that's where you can find the Raw Reaction right now. So you can go listen to them that way. I think it's been a week since Randall should have his newest episode of the TWN After Dark, like tomorrow at some point, doing his Survivor Series preview and whatnot. And then, just check them out. Obviously, Glenn was telling me that his, I think that Pro Wrestling Authority, whatever, Facebook page that he does, they have a podcast now too. You can go find them on iTunes. And I think that's it for our sort of friends or whatever. Or Randy has his Backlog Busting Project podcast. You can listen to him talk about old video games, and I'll be on there again with him pretty soon. And yeah, so... just make sure, you hit us up if you haven't talked about this in a while, but, we have a Facebook group. You can go join. It's been getting more people lately, which you appreciate. Go, if you have friends that are wrestling fans and maybe they don't have a group to be in, or they have a bunch of groups to be in, it never hurts to be in another group. I know people that are in like 50 groups. Maybe you don't, all converse in all of them, but at least I can guarantee that there'll be plenty to converse about in ours. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, go check out all those shows. And, of course, like Sean said, there's plenty of ways to contact us. And, of course, check out what's going on our pages. So, all really cool things. And, of course, if you want to leave a voicemail for us, don't forget you can do that. It's easy as 1, 2, 3 by dialing these numbers, 972-591-8620. That is the way to contact us, just by voicemail if you want to leave. And also, it's a way to call in live. So if you're up late with us on a Thursday night and you want to come check us out and you want to call in, just like we had tonight with Brandon Biscobing and Chris Limsky, which we thank both those guys for joining us tonight, you can do it. You could just call in and talk to us, or just leave the voicemail. And plus, if you're already subscribing If you're already rating and reviewing, you're doing the right things already, so we appreciate that. But anyway, we hope you guys have a wonderful week. We're going to get on out of here, and we want to let you guys know you need to always remember, if you're not living life to the max,
Not living life at all.
You know it.
Please. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.